Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Eruption of Shame. Now, this is one of the special episodes, which only happens when there's a big bundle or a out-of-the-way bundle. And today, that is the Jinglejam 2024, which obviously I was going to cover because every year I cover Jinglejam. Because why not? It's usually a good source of games that are, a little out there, maybe a little bit surprising. Let's see if it's the same this year or if it's something different. Straight off the bat, I can say, definitely a drop in the quantity of games from last year. Last year there was like 70 odd games, and this time we've only got 18 to go through, which means it's really barely larger than a decently sized Fanatical bundle. So I'm not sure what to say about that yet, but I guess it'll be up to you and me to decide together whether it's any good. Now, as usual, I do also have my data, which we'll be going over later. I've got to say, it's a little bit more of an empty one this year of how small it is. But there are some trade-ins, which I'll talk about as to why that may have occurred. Other than that, just remember, this is obviously for charity, so the main important thing is not the Steam games we get, but the charity that we donate to. And when we look at these charities, which can be found right down the bottom, there we go. We got Autistica, Campaign Against Living Miserably, Cool Earth, Sarcoma, the Trevor Project, the Grand Appeal, War Child, and WDC, which sounds like a perfectly reasonable, cause to set of causes to respond to and talk to in general. So I'm okay with that. Let's go have a look at the keys today, and there's going to be some good points and some bad points. So let's get into this. The first one is Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers. Now, this one has not quite reached the levels of Boltaro in terms of notoriety online. However, it is another completely unrelated gambling game roguelike that has been out and quite popular this year. It was on my wish list before being in this bundle, which is good for me. It is, as you can see, very positively rated the most recently, and mostly positive previously, so take that out as well. As for most things at the moment, I'm trying to be as positive as possible, so I'll generally give them the best rating that they are for my rating here. It is a roguelike deck builder. So, yay, I definitely love that, and it has only been released in August of this year. Its full price, as you can see down here, was $21.95, or the various local currencies, which aren't shown there, because it's only showing the discount. The lowest it's ever been is $11.16 at Game Billet, which is on right now. But trust me when I say, realistically, this bundle may be smaller, but it is still worth the money, just maybe not as much as usual. Now, I'm actually really excited about getting this game in general, because I saw it being played by many a true nerd, and it looked like a lot of fun. And I was like, yes, and I had it directly to my wish list. So this is definitely a highlight of the bundle for me. The next game is Wild Frost, another roguelike deck builder. So second one already. Yep. I'm okay with that though, because this was also on my wish list. It was also only released last year, and yeah, price wise, it actually hasn't had very much of a sale so far. $29.50 down to $20.65 being the lowest, and that is what it is right now. I think that realistically, that right there is another headliner for me, and quite a good one. I don't see anything wrong with that either. Like so far, this has very much been the me wish list bundle, which is good. Next one is 2 Point Campus. Now, with the new 2 Point Museum coming out, it kind of makes sense that this one will be included in the bundle. I think previously we did see 2 Point Hospital included there, and I'm pretty sure Yogscast has done a fair amount of gameplay of these games as well, I believe. I'm not really sure, but there we go. It was released in 2022, making it one of the older games in this bundle. Most of these games have been released in the last couple of years. So this is one of the older ones. Only a couple older, but it's still a good pickup if you don't already own it. For me, I already had it, and it is, of course, after having been released so long ago, has had a much lower historical low at $7.82 at Game Billet, apparently. And even the current sale right now for $11.98 is not horrible. Now, it does have DLC, and I don't believe that the that this comes with any DLC. Yes, I just checked my own email. It does not come with any DLC. It is just the base game. Which, I mean, do you need the DLC to enjoy 2 Point Campus? No. Does the DLC make the game better? Yes. Should you be sad about non-inclusion? It's in the middle. It would be nice if it had at least had some sort of like voucher to buy the rest or something to make it a little bit better. But I mean, it is on sale right now, so if you do pick it up, you can get the DLC at a pretty decent price. I too recommend this Space Academy one because it is quite a lot of fun. But yeah, no, not too bad. Not too bad, but definitely not one of the ones I'm more excited about. Speaking of ones I'm not more excited about, Patrick's Parabox, another one which I already owned, but it is overwhelmingly positive, which is the first of the bundle so far. Released in 2022 for $30. It has only ever reached a low of 1770 before, so I don't even know how I got it so quickly, but here we are. It is a puzzle and logic game, so you know I will suck at it. But this might be what your jam is, so you know I'm not gonna insult it at all, so that's fine. The next game is Shadows of Doubt. Now, Shadows of Doubt says immersive detective stealth games. Now, this is another game I had on my wish list that I did not own. So this is another one going onto my mountain, which is, of course, the main point of this eruption of shame, where I'm getting more games onto my mountain from, I guess, below. I guess there's a game vein down there. Lots of game magma. I don't know how that works, but still. Point is, this is a very positive sandbox title. I'm just going to call it sandbox because it's an immersive sim, good simulation. I've got to come up with things. It's clearly going for the sandbox side of things, which is fine. It looks like a lot of fun. It's got a really interesting art style. I think it's a really good addition onto as well. And I'm going to be saying that a fair amount because a lot of the games they decide to add into this bundle are very good this year. There's very little in the way of trash, which is interesting, but I guess that's sort of the point, as we'll talk about later. Now, it started at $36.50 and is as low as $15.93 with the voucher I had at Gamersgate, apparently. So, that's fun. I was happy to see this in the bundle, along with the next game in the series, which is For the King 2. Now, For the King 2 is the sequel to For the King. It was a roguelike turn-based tabletop RPG. This one, however, is just a regular old RPG. Whether you like that change or not, I guess that will depend on who you are or what you are. But quite frankly, I don't mind. I'm looking forward to seeing what For the King 2 is, even if it's unrelated to the original For the King 2. For the King, but that's okay. It's a relatively expensive game normally, with being up to $40. However, it has been on sale before to $18.19, which is quite low. Now, the original was a completely different game. So, like, it was a turn-based tabletop sort of game. So, I don't think you can really judge this game on its predecessor, but its predecessor was also quite highly rated as well. Next game on the list is Citizen Sleeper. This one was not new to my mountain, unfortunately. It is a free of TTRPGs. So it's an RPG, again. There's a fair number of roguelikes and RPGs in this bundle, which is good by me. I'm actually quite happy about that. This one is not multiplayer, so yeah, I'm just going to give it to someone who I think would like it. Its highest price is obviously $30. It's been its lowest price is $18.85, which is right now. So there you go. Nothing really to say here, except for, let's go to another trailer. This is a Souls-like, but it's also a platformer. So I'm just going to try and focus on the positives and say it's a platformer. There are some platformers I don't mind. I just suck at them. So there's that. It is a 2024 release from AgroCrab. It is overwhelmingly positive. It is definitely a positive pickup in general, which I'm quite happy about. Now, I already own the game, but I think it's going to be one it's not going to be hard to find a new home for. Its high price of $45, pretty high. Its low price is $30. So yeah, as you can see, it really hasn't been on sale very much. This is definitely a good one for this bundle because it has never been this low really before. Well, I say this low. It's been a bundle. It's very high, but if you count the number of the price per game, it's quite low. Next is Mars First Logistics, which honestly looks charming as hell. Heck, it looks like a cross between Lego and like it's just a co-op sort of like Mars like building sort of thing. I have no idea, to be honest, but the art style looks really unique. It's overwhelmingly positive, and it's been released only last year. Well, yeah, last year currently, soon to be later than that. So yeah, not too bad there either. Not too bad. Building physics game. They do always have a couple of these multiplayer games in here, and I do like that fact because if you already own it somehow, it does mean that you'll have someone else. You'll have a code to give away to your friends. For me, I don't own this game, so clearly I'm going to use it myself. Next is Sticky Business, which is an honestly charming game about running a stick shop. And that sounds just beautiful and fantastic and everything we really need right now. It is another overwhelmingly positive game, released in 2023. It is a casual simulation game. I see nothing wrong with that. It is cheap to begin with, though, at only $15, and goes down to $9.54 sometimes, apparently, as its historical low. I do own this game already, but it is a beauty, and I'm sure I'll find a good, easy way of giving it out to a friend in general. So that's nice. Next, we have Hadean Tactics, another roguelike deck building game, because this is like our third or fourth roguelike deck building game in roguelike deck building game in this bundle alone, which is saying something given it's only like 18 game bundle. And once again, though, I'm never sad to see a roguelike deck build. The only thing is a lot of these show up in Humble, so we might just be cannibalizing next year's Humble bundles. Either way, or even, let's face it, tomorrow's Humble bundles. Oh, Tuesday's Humble bundle. Anyway, point is, this is a very positive game released in 2023. It has had okay sales before, from 30 down to 13. But in general, it's a fairly good price, I suppose, at the moment. But yeah, we'll see. Next, we have Submachine Legacy. Now, it does have like a very horror or a botanicular vibe to it. It is an adventure, a hand-drawn point-and-click adventure, which clearly I'm going to suck at because I usually suck at these ones where you just like click and click and click them like a botanicular game. Because I find it really hard to find exactly what it wants you to do. But $36, as low as $26, overwhelmingly positive. So just another decent thing to add, I suppose. Next is Scorn, an atmospheric first-person horror adventure. Thankfully, I already own this game, so this is not new to my bundle. It is very positive, and has been as low as $11.71 from its high of $60. So it's a game which you see in bundles semi-regularly on Fanatical, and it's kind of feels a little bit out of place given it's very, very positive only recently. But if it wasn't for my being positive, like super positive, mostly positive, it's what it is. It's clearly a mostly positive game. This is probably the worst one in the bundle, and it's also one of the older ones, 2022. So yeah. Next we have Orcs Must Die 3, 2021. So we're getting a little bit older here, a little bit older. Very positively rated and solidly so. Going from $40 high all the way down to $3.99 right now. So this might be one that if you're just hanging out for Orcs Must Die 3, you might just jump onto that instead. But once again, it's the charity, so it's not so much about that. The benefit of this one is it is online co-op, which means you can share it if you already own it with another person, which is fantastic. You just give it to them and they'll be happy. Next, you have Fights in Tight Spaces. Now, I played this game recently. It was a little bit slower than I was expecting. Now, it doesn't have the word roguelike there, and I don't believe it was sort of like full-on roguelike. I mean, it kind of was, but I don't think so. So I just put this down as deck building, as it says here. It is an interesting, a very interesting game. I did have fun with it when I was playing it. It was a little bit crazy. But it's a nice add-on if you don't already own it. It's went from $35 all the way down to $17.97, which is its lowest price currently. So it hasn't actually had that big of a sale. Like 50% off sale isn't that huge. So yeah, if you don't already own this, yeah, not a bad one. It's getting a little old here now, 2021. Then we have another 2024 game, Death Sprint. This is another online PvP multiplayer game, though it does say it can be played in single player. I'm still going to count as a multiplayer game in general. This game is $36.50 down to $22.01 currently at Gamersgate. Once again, though, it's something I had never thought of getting myself. It was not on my wish list. It is very positive, though it has a pretty small crowd. I think that is one thing we've missed out a little bit by having this smaller bundle. There's a lot less of the, oh, what's this? This is a random game sort of thing. And while some things may be added later, we can't buy that based on that. And we don't want it to keep, we don't want to end up buying it and then not getting anything extra and being disappointed. Next, we have Eternites. Now, this is one I had on my wish list for a very long time. I actually ended up buying it when it was special just recently. It has a beautiful art style, really interesting premise. It is a dating sim, but it is a dating sim with hack and slash, sort of like actual action elements rather than just being a simple visual novel. I think it's pretty cool. The action elements are not something you see in this genre, and sort of the juxtaposed towards the like really dark, gritty environments and the anime girls is usually only seen in horror, but I don't think it is a horror as much. Maybe it is. Who knows? Maybe I won't like it. But I still think it's fun. As with most games out of Japan, though, it has a quite high opening value at $45. Has gone down 60% down to $17.59 before Indie Gala. But yeah, I think it seems pretty good. Kind of a shame I bought it and haven't played since then, but that's okay. Last game in the bundle, and yeah, it doesn't feel like it should be last game in the bundle. We've only been going this for 17 minutes. It's not going to be a very long video at this point. Is Frostpunk, and it is the oldest game in the series. Now, Frostpunk 2 has just came out, so I doubt they would give out Frostpunk 2. That would be a massive, massive thing for them to give out. It would be a great headliner, and everyone would be like, whoa, you gave out Frostpunk 2? Instead, they gave out Frostpunk 1, which is still a very positive game. If you have not played it, it is definitely worth a play. It is not by any means a bad game. It's just that most people who would want to play it probably already have. So, yeah. Not the strongest end here. Obviously, since it's been out forever, you've gotten as low as $3.22, and it's been in a bundle 7 times, including the one it's in right now. So, yeah. Before we go into data, I just want to say it's a pretty small bundle in comparison to what we usually see. There's also some Jinglejam rewards, something called MCC Island, but I don't think anyone really cares about that, as if you're already in there. It's a very small bundle, and my thought process is, I wonder if it was so they could do games which were better and newer. Because those are the only two patterns I can see in this versus previous years. Now, previous years were bigger, by far. And it's not just my imagination. When I started doing these videos in 2021, we saw 55 games apparently, 84 in 2022, 77 in 2023, and now down to 19 in 2024. Value-wise, we've seen the value plummet, basically 2/3 of its value. However, and this is interesting, the actual cheapest value is only halved, which means realistically, we're getting better games at a better price, technically. Well, not better price, because if you do the actual value, the calculation on the 77 versus this, you can probably work out that, hey, yeah, so the price of these games, these 77 games, was $7.39 each, whereas the price of these games is $15.49 each, based on the cheapest prices. If we base on the full prices, then maybe it would be something else, but that's nothing really to write home about. I think it does set the floor as being higher, that they can go in and put those better games. And as you can see here, based on this, most of the games released in this bundle were in the last 3 years, with only a very small number any less, right? Like that alone is pretty interesting in general. In fact, we didn't see any games back previously. Now, if we go back to the previous years, which I do have here, there we go. See, last year, it had games reaching all the way back into 2024. However, the last 3 years were still the primary focus. But there was definitely a lot more games lower back. The previous year, once again, I didn't have the thingy back then, but yeah, as you see, a lot of the games were 2020 and 2022 and so on. So they do generally like to stick to modern games, but this time they really took it all the way. They took it all the way. That's for sure. Now, if we look at the difference in the percentages down here, you can see it went from 11%, fairly stably, 10 or 11% of overwhelming positive games to 28%. So once again, that's just because it is a smaller bundle, which makes it easier to get that percentage up. The very positives, they definitely rose from their 50, 60s to 70. That being said, is it worth losing like most of your games, like 59 games in the bundle? Probably not, if you're just looking at this from a game perspective. As you can see, though, the games we are missing out on, it really didn't have much of an impact. The games we're missing out on, some of them were positive, some of them were mostly positive, some of them were even mixed, and some were brand new and NA. So, like, I'm not really sure. If you look at the actual genres, if that's what you make a decision based on, if you like roguelikes or RPGs, you're going to love this bundle. Multiplayer is also highly represented. But apart from that, there's a lot of smaller, even a lot of smaller niche genres, but there are some interesting ones there in general. Like there is a horror game, which is annoying. There is a city builder. There is an adventure game. But it's a lot less than previously, which is, yeah. So, yeah, that is the 2024 Jinglejam. And, it's kind of underwhelming. I don't know if they're going to add more or not. I don't see any sign of them adding more. So yeah, I think their focus this year was clear. They wanted games which were better quality and less random. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think of the 2024 Jinglejam? Like, personally, I've already bought it because like I was sold on Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers and Wild Frost on its own. Like, yeah, I'm getting to donate to charity and getting 2 games I've had on my wish list. Oh, actually 4 games I've had on my wish list. For, well, a reasonable price, but it's okay. More than it was last time, I will say. So overall, it's not a bad bundle, but it's definitely a little bit less directly interesting as it has been the prior years. So, tell me what you think. What do you think of the Jinglejam? Do you think they did a good bundle? Do you like this new pivot to a smaller but more focused on new and higher rated games? Or do you think that maybe you rather have a larger percentage of only okay games for the sake of, well, having more games? Because I know a lot of people use this as this bundle as an excuse to, enlarge their Steam library and give out gifts to people. I love having the extra keys. Like, I'm going to give out 2 Point Campus to a friend. I'm going to give out all the games I've already owned to someone who I think will enjoy them. So that's a good thing. But once again, that comes more from that. Now, it should be said, in the past, Jinglejam has done a pretty good job at avoiding like highly bundled games. I should know, because as someone who buys a lot of bundles, I was still able to find a decent number of games I didn't own. And this is no different, but I do find myself a little bit disappointed in the low game count. Either way, Thank you for joining me. This has been a bonus Eruption of Shame, which will be up on the channel as soon as it uploads. As you can see, it's a fairly low budget affair where I just look at the games. I'm sure there'll be much more detailed, much more, fancy, review-filled videos coming out from other people soon. But I just like looking at what's going into my mountain because, that's the whole point. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you'll join me again for the Eruption of Shame on a couple of days' time for the new Humble Choice. That is still coming up, along with the bundle overviews and anything else. There hasn't been anything on Kickstarter this month, so there probably won't be a Kickstarter edition there. And obviously, right now, it's all about the Steam sales, which, I don't know about you. I haven't been overly impressed with the Steam sale this year either. I'm hoping the Christmas sale, which starts in literally 2 weeks after, will be better since it's usually the biggest one. But, oh well. Thank you for joining us. See you next time, and goodbye.